For live streaming of church services, weddings, funerals, and corporate events, production of documentaries, advertisements, and its production, contact Baringo News. We also offer public relations services, digital marketing, social media customer care for corporate entities, among other media-related services. For more information, contact Baringo News through 0728 418 165 or through our social media platforms. Facebook is Baringo News, Instagram at Baringo News, Twitter at Baringo News, or send us an email through hello@baringonews.com. Baringo News, humanize your brand.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to our mid-morning show. It should have been a mid-morning show, but we've just spilled over into the afternoon. And today, as indicated on our advert yesterday, you notice that we would really wish to have a conversation on water within Baringo County. And over time, we've noticed, according to a report that was produced, or rather done by CEDGG in partnership with the International Budget Partnership, they came up with a report auditing how the county government of Baringo has been allocating funds to the water sector. And from the report, we could see that there's a huge allocation of money. But on the other side again, there was very little absorption, and that trend has been there over time. And today we are hosting the director for water at the county government of Baringo, and a representative of CEDGG, which was involved, the organization that was involved in the drafting of that report. CEDGG is the Center for Enhancing Democracy and Good Governance, and their role within Baringo and the North Rift counties is to enhance public participation in budget making process. And at this time, the county is in the mood of implementing the budget that was approved at the end of June 2020 for the budget of financial year 2020-2021. So today we are looking at water in regards to budget implementation process. So to my guests, karibu sana. Maybe we can start with the far left first, then we can come to the director. Introduce yourself, Evans.
Thank you so much, Bwana SK. My name is Evans Kibet. As you've rightly put, I work for Center for Enhancing Democracy and Good Governance as a programs officer. And CEDGG is in the business of promoting the national values and principles of governance through capacity building, research, advocacy, and knowledge management.
Yeah, and just to emphasize on that, CEDGG, the Center for Enhancing Democracy and Good Governance, is involved in sponsoring the production of this program, because the objective is to engage the community when it comes to budget implementation and even the making process of the budget. Director, karibu sana.
Thank you, SK, for the opportunity. My name is Chepwarwa, the director for water and irrigation, Baringo County Government.
Yeah. Karibu sana, Noah Chepwarwa. Maybe before even we dive into the conversation, for the sake of the viewers, I know you're an engineer. Maybe you can delve into your profession first so that we know how we will engage you moving forward.
SK, I'm an engineer by profession, a registered engineer. I started water and environmental engineering, and therefore issues of water and issues of environment, I'm so much conversant with it.
Well, thank you. And I think you're the rightful person, because there was this conversation we had with the budget champions, I think about four weeks ago, and the biggest issue was the technical persons on the ground. And you being a technical person, you would be giving us the correct details of this conversation. Now, straight to our conversation. I have a few questions that I had drafted before and that will guide the conversation. And as I introduced earlier, we said that the county government of Baringo since inception has been putting in a lot of money into water and irrigation. But on the downside is that most of these projects that have been allocated for, they end up not being completed. But that is not the issue. Maybe first we can look at what is the motivation behind the funding that has been put into water and irrigation.
SK, you find that Baringo County as a whole county has got a high scarcity of water access.
Yeah.
The citizens are suffering. The percentages of access to clean water is about 38% based on previous surveys.
Yeah.
And if you look at the budgetary allocation, just as you said, for the previous years, it has been on the higher side based compared to other departments. And this has been through several reasons. One of the reasons, this government at the moment, His Excellency the Governor Stanley Kibet had a slogan of saying Maji Water Pay. And this slogan of Maji Water Pay has also in a way contributed to ensuring that there is adequate funds for development of water services.
Yeah.
Two, if you look at sustainable development goals developed previously, you find that one of the goals is to ensure increased access of water and sanitation services to people.
Yeah.
Because you find that water is a key item in every household,
yeah,
in every business, in every industry, and therefore that is another factor which has contributed to occasions. Another issue is about if you look at the issue of public participation. When involving citizens in public participation, we usually ask them
what they want. And water comes as among the top.
And abruptly, water comes as mostly the first item to be funded.
That's encouraging. You're talking of public participation, and I think that's something that will come up during our conversation, because involvement of the mwananchi in budget making process and even project prioritization on the ground. It's encouraging to hear that you are giving priority to what the mwananchi is saying on the ground. Maybe before we go to my second question to you, Evans, this report that I have here, which we'll be looking at it in a few, for how long have you been working on it, and the statistics that you've given, that this report is giving, how long have you been working on it, and how did you approach it? Because somebody would be wondering what's the credibility of the report.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much, Bwana and Director, for shedding light on why water has become a priority in Baringo County.
Yeah.
And that is clearly even evidenced in the budget allocations.
Yeah.
So the work of CEDGG and international budget partnership dates, it has a long history, but then I will make it brief and say that I'll start with the onset of devolution.
Yeah.
I think when we passed a new constitution, citizens wanted a change.
Yeah.
And the change they wanted is that they wanted their voice to matter when it comes to resource allocation.
Yeah.
And also they wanted an accountable government.
Yeah.
At the same time, devolution was one of the hallmarks of this constitution. And through devolution, the constitution promised that people will have services closer to them, quality services closer to them.
Yeah.
And as an institution, we embarked on a lot of civic education and capacity building of stakeholders involved in governance processes to really bring the promise of devolution to pass.
Yeah.
And if one of that is equitable access to services, quality services, effective services, public participation, transparency and accountability. And I want to really appreciate the residents of Baringo, as they have been very responsive, where we have gone to sensitize people about the budget as the only pathway to access better services.
Yeah.
There has been very positive response. I think we've made it clear that the buck stops with government when it comes to access to water. If you look at the normative obligation of government, theirs is to fulfill the rights as stipulated in Article 43, one of them being access to clean, safe and adequate water.
Yeah.
So what the response among citizens has been very positive, because we have seen them turning out for budget forums. And not only turning out, clearly stipulating based on their experience what they want as part of development.
Yeah, so maybe you can shrink that explanation, because you've given us a background of CEDGG and its role in budget making process, and even public participation and engaging the public in making their decisions. When did you start working on this report? Can we say 5 years? Because I can see as far as 2014-15 financial year, for how long have you been working on this report, and to justify the findings that you have here?
Okay, I think as I was heading there, the work of sensitizing people really produced results. The civic education and mobilization towards the budget processes. We saw a great turnout. We saw even government responding by echoing what citizens are saying. If you look at the county fiscal strategy papers, even right back to the CIDP, it is not by default that the governor said that water should be a priority in his manifesto. The demand came from the public. So then at some point we looked back at the indicators. We are promoting public participation, and people are prioritizing water. Why are these indicators not changing at a pace that we desired as a citizens and residents of Baringo? And we went back to the reports, budget implementation reports, and I think we delved deeper and even dug up to 5 years ago and checked at the performance of the water sector in terms of budget implementation. And I think there we observed a gap, that as we allocate very good amounts of money to the department, and more specifically to water projects, but when it comes to implementation, there is some slackness. There's a gap there. Then we said we want to understand this better. I think that was in 2019, the financial year 2019-20. We said we want to understand what are the reasons behind this poor budget absorption, because we were observing that apathy was setting in. You tell people let's go for budget, on Akwambia, why are we allocating monies to another project, yet even
this other one is not completed.
The one we did last year has not been implemented. Well,
hold it there. I think you've really brought the history. It is dating back to about 5 years. So it means you've really put in effort in producing this report.
If you allow, I can say how we even did it, because we didn't want to do it. We didn't want to make an assumption that it's just that the department, they are the bad people, because they are not absorbing, or the county treasury. So we engaged several stakeholders, and here I would want to really encourage to appreciate our budget champions, because they held interviews with the communities, with the leaders, local administration there, to understand maybe it's the issue of land, maybe it's an issue of maybe we didn't allocate enough monies. They had interviews with the government officials to understand maybe it's because money was not coming from national government. So we engaged in, we collected data through various sources, methods.
Thank you for that comprehensive background of how you got to that report. Maybe to you, Director, how would you compare the budgetary allocation to water and irrigation last financial year and this financial year, maybe in terms of figures? Then we continue.
Comparing
what's the amount this year, this financial year, for water and irrigation?
The amount this year is 332 million.
Last year
was 430.
Yeah. There's a drop.
Yes, there's a drop.
How do you explain that drop?
There is a drop because initially in the previous year, after during implementation, remember implementation, it means spending.
Yes.
And during the stages of implementation, there is this issue of COVID.
Yes.
When COVID came, then there was some changes in some budget.
Yep.
There was supplementary funds to appropriate to issues on fighting COVID.
Yep.
And therefore, the reduction, one of the reasons why the budget was reduced is because the projects which were funded for the year FY 1920, their budgets were cut. And because they were cut, during the preparation of the budget for the year 2020-2021, the county assembly and the treasury had to ensure that what was cut during the previous year is compensated before the actual budgeting for this financial year.
I see.
And that's why it covered the budget for this year covered what was cut in the previous year, and then now the remaining budget was for activities for this year.
Clearly, we are yet to feel the impact of COVID even in your department, because if the budget has really gone down, then it means projects may not be well funded this year, and those projects that were in line may not also get, some of them may not get funding. Now, as seen on, there's a table that you will be seeing on your screen, the table number 2. Of course, I'm referring to table number 2 based on the document that you have there. Based on the budget analysis that we've been given by CEDGG in partnership with the International Budget Partnership, we can see that Water and Irrigation Department has performed poorly in budget implementation in the last 5 years, as I indicated earlier. The reports, of course, based on the conversations that Evans had indicated earlier, that they engaged the community, they went to engage them, and they have even formed a caucus of young people from the community. They call them the budget champions, and these budget champions are giving the reports that all their feedback is captured in this report. So maybe just to ask, what else can be done? We've acknowledged that there has been a drop, and you've explained why the allocation is at that level. But with the drop now, even before we talk about what more can be done, what is causing this decline in absorption of this huge budget that is put in the water and irrigation?
Oneski, if you look at that table 2, you find that initially during the beginning of the devolution, the year 13-14, 14-15, you find that the absorption was a bit higher. And then it came to 2016-17. The government brought in the issue of IPMIS. And when it came with the issues, the IFMIS mechanism of procuring and also making payments, this has got several stages. I'm told it takes up to 27 stages from the beginning up to payment to the supplier. And therefore, staff during that period had to learn the system with time. And that's why there was a drastic drop at once. Because everything had to go through the IFMIS, tendering process had to go through the IFMIS, and even suppliers had to learn the process fast.
And I think that makes sense, because I can see 2014-15 we were at 56.3%. And maybe with those percentages, Evans, you will help us later to understand what are the standard percentages of absorption that you can rate a county to be performing well. Then 2015-16, the drop you're talking about is at 63 point. Actually, it went up 56. It went up to 61. Then from 61, there is that drop now to 66. No, there is an increase. There's an increase for the absorption. No, sorry for that. I think I'm reading a different column here. It was 64.9
Yes.
at the beginning of the first regime of the county government, that is 14-15, 64.9, then it went to 67. So if miss the drop, now there was a considerably a high increase in the 2016-17. Maybe you can touch on that. 2016-17, it shot up from 67.3 to 77.4. You've explained to us that IFMIS contributed to the drop because of the processes that may not have been well understood by the procurement department.
Yes.
Yeah.
During the closure of the year 2016-2017, the process had not started. It was being tested.
Yep.
But now 17-18, during the period 17-18, is now the procurement process through IFMIS.
And that is when we dropped from
That's why we dropped from
77 to 39.
39.
Wow, that's huge. So now, what happens with that absorption? Because I think maybe for the sake of the listener, or rather the viewer, absorption rate is about how much is spent vis-a-vis what was allocated. Is that right, Evans?
Yes, I think there could be more factors than IFMIS. I think the director will shed more light, because I know in every process there is a learning curve.
All right. So
but then just to make it clear to our viewers is that first, budget absorption. If we say low budget absorption, it means that there is money that has not been spent that was allocated.
Yeah.
And for Mwananchi Kibet there and Chebet outside there, it means that a water project was not implemented.
Yeah.
And what that means is that my desire to get that water closer to me is not achieved. The global standards, there is an institution known as Public Expenditure and Financial Accountability, PEFA, that has provided the global standards for ranking. If you score anything below 95, that's a D.
95
Yes,
is a D.
absorption.
So what is 100%? If it is 90.
So I think the background to this is that
what's an A really for such performance?
So the background to that is that by the time people are the process is the budget process is very elaborate.
Yeah.
By the time you get it into implementation, you must have been very clear on how you're going to spend this money.
Thank you for that elaboration. Maybe back to the other factors. You've mentioned IFMIS. Are there any other factors that have led to the drop of absorption rate of the budget within your department?
Another contributing factor to low absorption in the department is when you look at budget, there is the recurrent and there is a development part of the budget.
Yeah.
The biggest part of it is the driver is recurrent.
Yeah.
If recurrent is too low, then there will be little facilitation for staff. So you find recurrent gathers for salaries, recurrent gathers for fuel, gathers for vehicles, maintenance, gathers for also allowances for staff who do feasibility studies.
Yeah.
And this contributes a lot to implementation piece, because how can you justify implementation or absorption of these funds when there is no facilitation? If the facilitation is smaller, is high, then if the development is high, then facilitation through recurrent also needs to be raised, so that it can be able to support more staff, can be able to support allowances and fuel and even vehicles.
So from my understanding, you're trying to say that the department is not well facilitated to be on the ground to work. So majority of you are seated in the offices and you can't move because there is no, maybe a vehicle is broken down. Maybe you can explain that for the sake of...
Mr. Eski, when you look at development, you look at the issue of data collection, because you have to collect data before developing bills of quantities.
Yeah.
There is inspection for payments for projects which are complete. There is also solving conflicts which occur in the field. There is meetings to be attended by senior staff.
Yeah.
There is per diem for night outs.
Yeah.
When a vehicle breaks down, and maybe we have actually we have 3 vehicles for staff in the field.
Yeah.
And we have 6 sub-counties. We have 6 sub-counties.
3 vehicles.
Suppliers who have to be paid, but before they are paid, we do inspection. We visit the projects in the field.
Yep.
So they apply for inspection of their projects, maybe from Tiati.
Yeah.
So you can say today, like this vehicle has to go to Tiati. But there is another supplier who wants supervision of their projects in Chepwarwa. There is another project in Mochongoi which needs solving community issues. There is another meeting in maybe somewhere like Nairobi which some staff are to attend.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, and then there's another vehicle which needs service. There is another one which needs which has got a breakdown. So in the office you find that you do priority now.
Yeah, okay.
So which one should come first?
Wow. So I think you've explained a very dire situation, and nawahurumia sana, though now that we are having this conversation, I believe your bosses are listening, and the people who are in charge of allocating funds to your department need to be listening to this, because clearly you are one of the senior officers at the water department and you're indicating that you have such challenges. Then I think they need to be sorted. Could there be any other reason that explains the drop in absorption, so that we can move to the next question?
Another challenge is about staffing. We find that for the past few years, most of the staff are aging. Most of them have retired.
Yeah.
Some of them have died through natural attrition.
Sorry.
And these staff have not been replaced. Remember also, most of the staff are approaching retirement. Like this year, we had about 3 technical staff who retired. There's one retiring in the next 2 months. There's about 4 technical staff retiring next year.
Yeah.
There are some retiring in 2022. And you know, when you are at around 59 years with someone with 35 years. Productivity.
Yeah.
And so that is one also, that's another contributing factor to our low absorption.
Yeah. Well, you've made me now maybe make an announcement to those who are looking for jobs. They need to attach this clip that there are 4 who are due to retire. There are those who are about to retire. And there are those who have not been replaced. So if you're looking for a job, there could be an opportunity. But of course, we are not giving you a guarantee. The following year, the financial year of 2018-19, from 2017-18.
Can I say something on that?
Let me come to that. There's something I need to throw to him, then I come to you. There's a slight increase from 39% to 42%. What did you do to see that slight increase, and what do we expect now that we've looked at the decrease? There's a slight increase. What did you do, and what more can you do to increase this percentage of absorption?
Yeah, looking at the increase in percentage of absorption between the previous year.
Yeah.
One of the contributing factors was deadlines. we were able to hold a meeting with all staff, and then each sub-county, we held them responsible to ensure that data collection for their projects are completed and bills of quantities are ready after certain period. We also gave them deadlines on inspection of projects, such that if a contractor applies for inspection for project for payment, then it should not take us more than a certain period before that project is inspected, so that we can process their payments. That's why you can see slight improvement in our absorption.
And maybe there was something you needed to add before I shoot.
I think I just wanted to say it's very timely that we're having this conversation now. I'm really glad, though director here is painting a glim picture of budget efficiency in our county. And I think I like the honesty, and I hope our viewers are watching this and taking note. This information needs to be there with the public. How I wish this information was there during the public participation, even when we're doing the annual development plan. But it's not late. Very soon we'll be discussing a question on how much to allocate to each sector through the sector hearings, and which will culminate into the county fiscal strategy paper. So as a budget trainer and a person concerned on budget efficiency, I would really wish that our citizens take note, the residents of Baringo take note of these gaps, because I've seen people during public participation, it becomes a question of just sharing money to allocate projects, and you allocate up to maybe 5 boreholes in your ward, and then you go and wait, and you have heard that we don't have enough recurrent budget, we don't have enough technical staff. Then when will the water come? So I think we need to have honest conversations in our budget forums and say, is it time that now we reallocate, we reprioritize, and say we move away from maybe allocating monies to new projects. I think that's a conversation we can have moving forward. But I was just emphasizing that any of us, any listener to this conversation should take note of this, and this information needs to be there at the public deliberations during the budget processes.
Well, thank you for that. And maybe you said director has painted a glim picture, and on this other side, one of the motivation as to why this department is highly funded is because of the governor's dream of delivering water to every household through the Water Maji initiative. Glim picture, priority. What does the future hold for the people of Baringo when it comes to water during this regime, now that underfunding, the budget dropped due to COVID? Any hope? How does the future look like?
The future on issues of water is so bright. I can say this because when the governor said his manifesto is Maji Water Bay, he didn't just say it as a campaign tool, but he meant it. Because one of the things he has done, and it is now on the ground, is the purchase of drilling rig. He went ahead and spearheaded budgeting for a rig for drilling of boreholes, specifically in areas which have got low water access. And therefore, this rig has come in. We have already drilled about 5 boreholes, and we are targeting 60 boreholes this financial year. Initially, during the budgeting process, we tell the community and even the MCAs that we are to drill a borehole, we need 5 million for drilling only. But once this rig has been purchased, we were able to sit down as a department. We analyzed the expenditure, looked at fuel, looked at allowances for staff, and you find that our expense for a borehole to be drilled is 900,000. So we will have cut more than $1 million per borehole. So this budget, this money which has been saved through the purchase of the drilling rig can be used to undertake equipping and ensuring that more people access water
through distribution.
That's why I'm saying the future is bright.
Well, these rigs, you said you're targeting 60. What in the long run, for us to say that every household in Baringo has access to water, how many boreholes should have been drilled so that we can say we have access to water, everybody has access to water in Baringo, so that we can spread over how many years by estimation?
We are looking at after the drilling of 60 boreholes, then maybe you will have increased the access of water to every household.
We acknowledge the fact that Baringo is an arid and a semi-arid. Actually, 2/3 from statistics. 2/3 of the entire county is arid and semi-arid. So when you say 60, and what I'm asking is, how many boreholes would we say we need to achieve so that we can say the entire county has access to water, assuming boreholes are the only ways of taking water near to the people? Do you have those statistics?
Those statistics at the moment I do not have, so I can't report that.
Okay.
But we are targeting at 60 boreholes, and then after that we can now be able to.
Then you can now set another target.
And then we set another target based on how far we have gone.
That makes sense. So this are they the rigs you're talking about? Are they the ones that were bought? I think they were released to Tiati. Are they the same ones that were launched about 3 months ago?
It was not released to Tiati, but it was launched in Cabernet by the governor.
Okay.
Around 2 months ago in July.
Okay.
Mid-July.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, to you, Evans, you've mobilized the civil societies in Baringo, and you've even formed a body, Baringo County. Is it Baksof? Baringo County Civil Societies Forum. What has been their role, and of course with the citizens in the budget making process? And we can also see that you've put together a team. You call them the budget champions. What has been their role, and what is the overall objective at the end of the day?
Okay, I think I'll start by commenting on. It's you said assuming. I think there's a word you said assuming that prompts me to comment.
Yeah.
I want to really throw a spanner the works.
Yeah.
That the rigs alone, and I think the director has given us some very good background.
Yeah.
The rig alone is not going to deliver access to water. There is a lot that I think, and we need to say it in black and white.
Yeah.
The department does not have enough staff. The allocation to operations and maintenance. Even if we have the rig, we'll still need people to go and do feasibility studies. We'll need people to go and supervise. We'll need people to go and launch. We'll need people to address those community conflicts that he talked about, and even our research brought them out. So I think we need to rethink our budgeting. That's the point I'm trying to drive.
Yeah.
And I think that problem has emanated even in our analysis, that even during the public deliberations, people don't think about how they can access water. What they think is how many boreholes we can drill this year.
Yeah.
And the question to ask, and I'm sorry for being very direct on this, do we need boreholes or we need water?
Yeah.
Because our research has shown even there are several boreholes that have been drilled. Some come out even that they have high salinity. Some are dry. Some even reach to the point where they have very good yield, but they are underutilized. Some even break down during management. So there is the question of human versus capital development.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be brought out clearly in our budget deliberations. So how I wish the director would make an appeal, and I will make that appeal on his behalf, that we need to think about, I know he can't say this, that if the way we do our recruitment, because recruitment is a question of budgets.
Yeah.
So given that we have a limitation of the budgets of how many people we can have, how many staff, Currently, we have a big problem in Baringo where the wage bill has gone beyond the legal threshold. So even the question to ask is, how do we restructure our staffing in the county to ensure that we have people who can help deliver services better? The question of operations and maintenance, I think when people are going to public participation, we need to have a debate beyond the Ward Development Fund. There is a whole budget, recurrent budget, that is not discussed during public participation. I think I expect, and this is now the role of civil society and budget champions and any other actor who is more informed, to demand for an opportunity to interrogate the recurrent budget of the county government so that we see money going to where it matters.
Yeah.
Of course, what we are doing as an organization, apart from this platform where we sensitize, and I think today a lot of information has come out from the department, which we have never heard them say that even during public participation. We train people on the budget process and even do research that can inform budget decisions. What we have learned over time is that budgets budgets are decisions by themselves, and any person making a decision requires information. So I think an observation we have made over time is that there is no information that people are given to make budget decisions. So we have even forced sometimes to create spaces where we try to push this information. Unfortunately, sometimes people take it as if we are inciting the community, but we want them to make informed decisions. Like today, we have learned that the problem we are facing, if we have allocated monies to so many boreholes, but the problem is we don't have enough staff. We don't have enough money for fuel for these people to go and ensure that the projects are implemented in good time.
Yeah.
So one of the things we are working a lot currently is changing from the normal public participation to something known as public deliberations, where people are given, consider the factors, quite a number of factors, including performance, priorities, emerging issues before they make a budget decision. So we want to build the capacities of citizens and any other actor in this space to make informed decisions. And that's why we are here even today.
Well, you've just mentioned the need of taking information out there, and maybe that begs the question to the Department of Water and Irrigation. What role, or rather, what efforts are you putting to ensure that Mwananchi gets involved, and also in partnership with such organizations that are pushing for public deliberation and public participation in budget making process? What efforts are you putting to ensure that Raia is involved so that the decisions that are made are well informed, or rather decisions are made based on a point of information and not just telling them, we are going to drill this, we are going to drill that?
Are you putting the question to me?
Yes, that is yours, because it is the department. The CSOs have given their strategy, and through the partnership they have with the community and the county government on public participation and budget making process, they have played a role. So to the department, what role are you playing to ensure that you make sure that the public is involved in decision making, and at the same time ensuring that they make proper decisions that will not lead to more rollovers and delayed completion of projects?
One of the contributing factors on rollover, which I think I did mention, or we have not touched on rollover, is insufficient budgetary allocation to projects.
Yeah.
If a project is like borehole drilling, is budgeted for, if an allocation is put at 1.5 million, and the project is supposed to be done at 2.5 million, we are not able to undertake that project. As we wait for additional funds to be added so that we can be able to implement. Because if we do, what will we be able to, or where will be the funds to be used to pay the person who will deliver the service? And therefore, this thing keeps rolling over until we get more funds so that we can be able to implement. And there I'm coming to your question now.
Yeah.
One of the things we are doing is to keep people estimates
Yeah.
of the cost of projects so that they will be informed in the budgeting process. Like if they want a borehole to be drilled, we give them a minimum of 2.5 million.
Yeah.
If they want the borehole to be drilled and equipped, then they need to put a minimum of 5 million at the minimum, so that now we can drill and equip.
Yeah.
If the borehole was drilled like last year and they want to budget for equipping, then we tell them at least a minimum of 2.5 million, so that at least we will install the pump, install the pumping system, the power system, and some storage, such that it's able to serve the citizens.
Yeah.
If we are to do a water reservoir like a water pan, which can store water for a great part of the year, we tell them smallest water pan should come at 3.5 million. Because if you budget a water pan at less than 3 million or 2.5 or 2 million, we are not able to implement. So one of the things we do to them is to ensure that we give them estimates of potential projects that they want to budget, so that they can be in a position to guide the budget.
Well, so the strategy you're putting is availing information regarding the cost of projects. And I think that would be a good thing, because sometimes you can find the community saying we need a water pan. How much are we allocating 1 million? So it will reduce the underfunding, and I think that's a good thing. What's your take, Evans, about that strategy, and what other strategies do they need to put in place?
Okay, I think I really want to thank the department. I think that's the way to think about it, because what has been missing is information. So I'm imagining a budget forum. Let me just be realistic. Here at town, Eldama Ravine County Council, the town hall here, where we have people like him telling people about where we are in terms of access to water, and projects that would really push that access up, and also the cost of these projects. But then the business, I think the business of communities during public participation should not be, I think this is quite serious, because I'm proposing a radical approach to public participation. It should not be the business of the communities to decide how much to allocate to a project. That's why they employ experts like engineer here. The government, that's the role of government. I think what citizens should be saying is, what we want is water. Then the government does feasibility study, looks at which water sources are available here, are they suitable, what kind of works would be required to have this water get to households. Then come and advise citizens and say, we have done a feasibility study and this is what it's going to cost, including even up to human resource and operations budgets that is required. And then citizens can deliberate that decision from an informed point of view. But then it's a good step at the beginning, and I hope they are partnering with the Department of Civic Education, because we have a fully fledged Department of Civic Education, though they are understaffed. They need to partner, have this information in the public. But I hope now today people have heard that for you to drink, to have water, it's not just people are saying we want a borehole. For you to have water to drink from a borehole, you've been told that we need not less than 5 million. The other strategy they could also apply is have a document that in the event that because of understaffing they are not there, people can refer to. So we are looking at, I think we have even started discussion with the Department of Water to develop a cost reference, a guideline for local mwananchi, so that because now our public participation has been about sharing money, before we resolve that, we can have a guideline on, even when we are asked to share money, we know how much we require to do a borehole. Then, and also, we would also want that guideline to speak to even the kind of projects that people need in specific locations. For example, it's not everywhere that a borehole would work. I think he has told us very clearly that there are areas where salinity is very high. So we need that technical advice in the community.
Yeah.
But again, the question on operations and maintenance, I think the department could also build a case during budget appropriation within the county assembly, because they do approve these budgets, for increment in the operations and maintenance, and also for remuneration of staff, so that we have more staff. So I think there is more they can do. What the problem is that they have been silent. So people out there are just, and I'm happy that today they have come out.
Yeah.
People out there, they are just doing guesswork. In fact, they are pointing fingers. Some even pointing fingers in the wrong direction. Yet we should be pointing fingers at ourselves and saying, what is this that we are not doing? Because at the end of it all, what we want is better livelihoods for the citizens of Baringo.
Sure, and I believe the good thing with this video, it will be available, so let it serve as a point of reference, because everyone has really given a lot of strategies that can build in and add value to the strategies that you would want to put, so that projects are well implemented and we don't anticipate rollover at the end of the day. And you see, having this conversation, all of us are sons and daughters of Baringo, and we'd always want the best for our county. So as we have these conversations, let it be a point of reference and a point of collecting information that can build on helping the county government to do best for the Mwananchi. I'm getting a few questions here. Maybe I can pick one or two from the viewers, so that we can continue. And I can also see time is really running out. We had set an hour for this conversation, but it looks like it might spill by about 10 minutes. Cornel Sige, he's asking, what are the priorities this financial year as far as water distribution is concerned in parts of Baringo North, and how is the budgetary allocation for this financial year? I think Cornelius, the second question has been answered. Maybe you'll handle the one for distribution. Rian Komen is asking, kindly ask the director about Kabuswa Borehole in Mogotio, Kisanana Ward. That was drilled in the former regime. It has since been stalled, and were told maji ilipatikana. What plans do you have to in regard to the aforementioned project and because it's becoming a waste of resource if it is not utilized? Those are two questions that are sticking out. You can take up that. Cornelia Sige is asking about the strategies you've put in distribution of water. And Rian Komen is asking about a borehole in Mogotio sub-county, Kabuswa. It is called Kabuswa Borehole. He's claiming that it was dug and left incomplete, and is asking now, what plans do you have, because it will be a wasted resource at the end of the day. You can take up those two questions, and we can continue.
For the question from Cornelius, from Baringo North, he's asking a question on distribution for this financial year. The areas of Baringo North, we have got two regions. We have got the highlands and we have got the lowlands. And each of the regions has got unique kind of projects to be done. And we also do projects based on what was provided in the budget and what was discussed in the public participation. And so Cornelia should have asked a specific project, but I can say majorly most of the projects we are doing is about pipelines extensions and protection of the springs. We also do drilling of bores, especially in the sites of Simon Ward. In the sites of Simon Saraman is pipeline extensions and protection of springs. In the sites of Simosoi is drilling of boreholes. When you go to the higher sites of Simon Gipsaraman, we do majorly on pipeline extensions and protection of springs and a few boreholes to be drilled. Coming back to the other lower part of Kirio, that is Barwesa. we are majorly doing protection of springs, intakes, and pipelines. And we have major projects in that side. We also have a bowl known as Kapluk bowl in Barwesa. We want to equip it to Memen, which is producing a lot of water, and it will be able to serve many people. We have 2 projects in Barwesa on pipeline extensions and construction of masonry tanks. One is known as Yeptos, which is costing about 7 million. We have another project costing about 5.5 million, known as Kipolony. This one involves an intake and an extension of pipeline. When you go to areas of Partabwa, we do water pans and bowls. But for this year, we are doing bowls.
I think Cornelius, while he's asking, I think maybe it is also informed on by some of the water projects that have been completed, but water has not been distributed, and maybe that could be his interest. And like here in Eldama Ravine, where our studios are situated, you cannot talk about water without mentioning the Chemususu Dam project. And the biggest concern among the community members is about the distribution. You go to Kabarnet, you can't mention anything outside Kirandich second phase, where it involves distribution and also the water, the sewerage in Kabarnet, which unfortunately it looks like imesimama pia kidogo. So maybe you can give an overall perspective on the water distribution strategies that the county government is putting, maybe in a minute, then we can continue.
What I can say is about distribution. You know, we do projects which are budgeted for. If it was the county government to decide alone, then I would have said something else. But to answer Cornelius in brief, we are dealing on budgets. So specific project with its own budget, we deal on the activity for that project.
All right. I think that's fair enough. How about Rian and Kabuso water project?
For Kabuso Bowl, Kabuso Bowl had a problem on after drilling. I think there was, before it was equipped, there was a supplier was given some work to install a pump. But during installation, it was found that there is something inside there. It's like a stone. Maybe somebody dropped a stone, so you could not install the pump. So it went ahead. We budgeted for cleaning the bowl. And that bowl, we cleaned it around April, and now it is ready for equipping. We can now install a pump.
And how did you get that information? Because it's quite random. Or did you communicate with Rian to ask that question?
No, most of the projects.
It looks like you know your job.
Most of the projects I'm aware. Most of the projects.
I think that then you could be the right person whom we need to be inviting to. We can be having conversations about sub-county per sub-county, so that we don't spread too thin. Like today we are allocating 1 hour and we have very little or rather we cannot cover everything at a go. You want to add something?
So what I can tell about Kapuso is it is now ready for equipping. It has been cleaned and it's ready for equipping.
So maybe to you, Rian, you can confirm that on the comment section if really that is the truth on the ground.
I want to comment on that.
Yeah, please.
So I think the problem, another problem is coming out here.
And
I think directors guided us, even as we go to subsequent budget engagement, just referring back to the adequate allocations. I think in our study we observed that some projects took up to 5 years. It's just a simple bowl equipping, drilling. I know it can look difficult, but in terms of, given the expertise we have in the county, the resources we have, we can do some of these projects even within 6 months. But we have a situation where people go to a public participation, then they share money and distribute. I think that's what has been happening. They say, let's go into group work, let's distribute every village. this amount of money over every sub-location. Then what happens? We allocate 1 million.
Yep.
And maybe that year we don't do anything. So we wait for another year to have enough money to drill. Then once it's drilled, we are not allocated money for equipping. So we wait for another financial year to equip. Yeah. Then maybe a storage tank. Then pipeline extension. It gets up to even 7 years before you get water. So I think we need to have an approach, and that's why I'm happy that we are thinking about this cost reference, where people agree, and they can even use principles like equity, where we have challenges in terms of access to water. We can start with that location and allocate enough money so that these people can get water by next year. Yeah, I think you will be surprised how many boreholes have been drilled and not equipped. So many. Yeah.
I think we also have a responsibility as a media platform to do that research, so that when we are having such a conversation, we get to ask per project or per sample project that we've done. Now, as we wind up, a report by the Population and Housing Report, which is my technical person would display a table. We call it table 1. It is telling us that Baringo's access to water is at a very low percentage. It's about 34%. And coming down to the county again, there's a disparity. You compare the arid and semi-arid sub-counties like TRT, Baringo South, and Baringo North. Some of them they are coming as low as 10%. Then some sub-counties that are well off, like the highland areas, like the one we are in, Eldama Ravine sub-county, they are averaging to about 35%. How are you working on rationalizing or reducing this disparity? You've indicated the bit of buying rigs to increase the speed and also to reduce the cost of drilling these boreholes. How else maybe are you looking at reducing this disparity?
Yes, comment I note about the disparity on the percentages from the different sub-counties on water access. You look at the TRT is about averaging at 10%.
Yeah.
At Koipateg is about
61%.
At Baringo North around 43. Baringo South around 17.
Yeah.
One thing we need to note is that in the budget process, we have always had equity in distribution of funds by ward, such that every ward has got an equal amount of funds for budgeting of their work to be done in the year.
Yeah.
But the county government has gone ahead to bridge that gap by providing other solutions. Like in the budgets of the RIC, you find that they will be targeting more on those areas which have got low access to water, like Tiati and Mokotio, to be able to bring up the access to almost an average level for the whole county. Two, we are also doing fundraising through development of concept notes and proposals to submit to partners and donors, so that you can be able to get funds for some projects.
Yeah.
I can report authoritatively that in the last financial year, between October to the end of the year, we're able to raise develop a concept note, and then we submitted to Water Sector Trust Fund. We followed through all the stages, and finally we received about 70 million for rehabilitation of Olarapal water project in Baringo South. These funds will rehabilitate the project. It will make extensions, and it will be able to reach the 3 wards of Baringo South, that is Lower Machongoi ward, Iljamus ward, and Mukutani ward. And we are projecting at an estimated 30,000 people to be reached, which includes households and institutions. And so we will have helped a lot and raised the coverage of water access coverage in Baringo South.
Yeah.
At the moment, we are also in the second stage of concept note to the same donor, because they have given us an opportunity to write 3 concept notes and proposals.
Yeah.
Because this funds comes from European Union, and they are targeting at supporting about 3 projects per county, totaling 200 million in total. So right now we have received about 70 million. We want to develop 2 more concept notes and proposals so that these funds will benefit Baringo within this period, which is budgeted for, because they are saying by 2022 they will have closed that window.
Yeah.
So in the next second phase, we are looking at Baringo Central. Maybe in the next third phase, we will look at Baringo North, so that the coverage on water access can be raised, and we will have an equity all over the county.
Well, I think I will still take you back to that, because there are some, I know they may not be county government related projects, but like the one in Chemosusu, Kirandich, whose distribution may have stalled. Do they bother you, and what are you doing to make sure that they are sped up? Do they bother you?
Of course they bother.
As a county, of course, not you as an individual.
Yes,
then
as
what
a
is the
county
county government doing to push this distribution process to be done quickly and impact, or rather reduce that disparity that we've seen on table 1?
You find that the Chemosusu Dam and distribution is funded by the national government through the Central Rift Waterworks Development Agency.
Yeah.
That agency works on behalf of the national government. This project, once complete, will be fully managed by the company, but it is a baby of the
county government.
And it is known as a water service provider. A water service provider is a company which provides clean water to the people. And Baringo County has got two licensed water service providers.
Yeah. One
is Keradich Water Company. The second one is this one was known as Ravine Water and Sewerage Company.
Yeah.
But during the coming in of the Chemosusu Dam, there is a process of changing from Ravine water to Chemosusu. Once the distribution is complete. And so the county government is supporting distribution of Chemosusu Dam water through budgetary allocation on last mile distribution of the water.
Yeah.
Remember, the national government is doing the intake, doing the dam, doing the treatment, doing the main lines, main gravity lines, main storages up to Kaparak.
Yeah.
Or Rongai.
Yeah.
But this distribution inwards, I think they are not doing that. But the county government during the last financial year budgeted for 80 million, 40 million for Ravine, 40 million for Mokocho, to ensure that the water from Chemosusu gets down to the rural areas.
I get that, and I think it is a good way of supporting so that it reaches the last person on the ground. But now the delays, if you pass by Kabarneti 10 Road, on your left you will see a stalled project for distribution and sewerage for Credam Phase 2, for example. It's encouraging when you drive through to Nakuru from Eldama Ravine, you can see some laying of pipes, but on the other side kumenyamaza. Haiwasumbui na munafanya nini ndio musukume hii kitu?
Yeah, of course, we are aware of the stalled project like the Kabarnet sewerage, which is just down the Eldoret route it was constructed and then stalled at some stage.
Yeah.
We have been in communication with Central Rift Valley, which is working on behalf of the national government. We have been in communication. We have had meetings in the past, and we are aware of what has made the projects to stall. It is because of the donor money. There are some issues of negotiation and how to things to be signed. But I can report right now that I think it was yesterday. I think the one for Kabarnet has started.
Thank you. I think that is giving some hope. To you, Evans, you've been involved in budget making process, and right now we are at an implementation stage. What do you anticipate as an organization that is partnering with the community in the coming 2020, 2021, and of course 2021, 2022 on with regards to this sector that we are discussing today?
I think before even I go to that, I want to comment on the issue of equity. Equity is at the center of our advocacy. You've heard me severally in any interviews, when I'm doing public participation. Equity is at the center of our advocacy, because without equity, we will not grow together. Equity is a prerequisite for sustainable development. So a concern that is also related to what the Chemosusu and the Kirandich Dam is, we cannot peg our mechanisms of promoting equity on donor funding. I think the department, I must say, they have made good steps. First, they have acknowledged. I'm happy that today we are acknowledging that there is a lot of disparity in Baringo as regards to access to water. So that acknowledgement is a good step. The second step I'm happy is that they are thinking about internal mechanisms. I think the idea of the rig, I didn't look at it at that angle. I think it's good we are having this conversation today. So that that even the implementation of that rig, it's unfortunate that we don't have a policy. That's another gap. Because we would have seen that the policy would speak to equity. That because there will be competition for that rig. Every sub-county will want, every ward will want. So we need a policy legislated by our county assembly to prescribe the approaches that we are going to use to promote equity. But then putting it on, pegging it on donor funding, I think we will not go so far, because you've seen the challenges with donor funding. Secondly, I think we need this conversation goes beyond the Department of Water. It's a conversation of the people of Baringo. Do we acknowledge that there are people who are well endowed with resources compared to others? I think the recent days, through the debate on revenue sharing at the Senate, we've learned a lot, and there was a lot of push that we should approach resource allocation through an equitable way of sharing resources, an equitable approach. Now, when it comes to county level, nobody's thinking about it. We are just saying, in fact, you know the case of Baringo, we just say most of the monies will go to development, and a big chunk of the development fund will be allocated equally to all the wards. So that's double speak. I think we need to have a honest conversation with the people of Baringo and say, if my brother is not developing, then I'm not developing. And come up with a formula that one day will say, on the basis of data like this, we can begin to say, let's have more resources going to water. Because what equal allocation means is that the counties that were ahead, the sub-counties and the wards that were ahead, will continue, will progress very fast. Like now Eldama Ravine, I'm sure in the next, and I'm saying this being a son of Eldama Ravine, so I know people can stone me, they will progress towards 100% access, while we are having a sub-county with 10%. And that's why we still have recurrent issues like of conflict. So that's what we are talking about. Without equity, there is no justice, and without justice, there's no sustainable development, in short. So we need an approach, and the department, we are more than willing to support you in the advocacy for equitable allocation, both at the county level and even at the department level. On the question on what we expect in the financial year 2020-2021 implementation, I'm happy that the lessons are coming in handy. What we have learned for the last few years when we were performing poorly, when the issues have been unearthed, we have had retrospective. We've sat down. I think the department has also said they had a meeting to look at how can they better their performance. So we expect the lessons to apply. For example, if it was a question of maybe we didn't do feasibility study well, they can still do it through maybe supplementary budgets. If it was an issue of inadequate allocation, we have the window for supplementary budgets and allocate adequate monies.
Yeah.
On the next financial year, I think that's the greatest opportunity we have as the people of Baringo. Let's apply these lessons. Let's allocate adequate monies. We expect citizens to allocate adequate monies. And I'm happy the budget champions are helping us, the civil society, the media. You have a role here.
Sure. Let's
sensitize people. Let's have this information during public deliberations where people allocate adequate monies to be able to deliver on the resources. And it's important we seek technical advice. I think I'll challenge again us as the residents of Baringo. Do we want bowls or we want water? Do we want water pans or we want water? You know?
Yeah.
So that should be the question during public participation. And then we sit down and reflect what will bring water. And seek advice from people like Engineer Noah here.
Yeah.
So that we get... I expect this ADP, the Annual Development Plan for 2021-2022, to have a difference between now and even the time we allocate monies to sectors. On our part, we shall continue doing what we do best. Put this information out there, engage, ask the difficult questions, so that we have people deliberating from an informed point of view.
Yeah, that's quite elaborate, and maybe to you know, tumewaanika sana. We've really hit you hard, giving you other alternative ways of making things better in water, in access to water, improving access to water in Baringo. But we are here. CEDGG is there. We are here as Baringo News and any other partner that you might want help from. What kind of support would you need from such partners like CEDGG and ourselves as a media?
One thing before I come to your question is Mr. Kibet had talked about do you want bowls or do you want water? Of course, everybody wants water.
Yeah.
But you see, what the community, when they see the rig, they see water.
Yeah.
The reason why I say it about that is in the community, at the moment, we do not have a policy, a water policy, county water policy, guiding on how we will be able to distribute water in the counties, especially in the rural areas.
Yeah.
You find that in a village, there is a bowl that has got a lot of water. And I can give an example from where I come from. There is a bowl which has got a lot of water. But if you want to distribute the water to the next village, it becomes an issue. Because this village says this is our bowl. It becomes an ownership. And you want to do anything, there is nothing like a policy guiding you on how to make sure that you utilize that water to cover more people.
Yeah.
Trying to convince them that the water, if it reaches more people, the project becomes more sustainable. But you remember, in the community, you have got different minds. And so the key thing that we are praying for, even to partners, like you guys, even the other organizations working within Baringo, we will be praying that you come in to support us in the development of a water policy, because this is one document which, once ready, will be able to solve most issues.
How far is this document as far as implement, or rather the formulation is concerned?
Previously it was formulated to some stage, but we have lacked funding for the last 2 years. But now in the next supplementary we have proposed for funding.
But when are you projecting it to be ready?
I'm projecting, because I do not know whether it will, the supplementary, it will go, whether it will be successful, but I'm projecting that in the next 2 years we will be having a water policy.
Next 2 years, which means before this regime seeks a renewal of their term. So let me believe that you'll have it before an exit or a re-election, depending on how.
Our dream.
Well, it will need also to go through the county assembly, I believe. So that again may explain why it may take another 2 years to have it. So I think we are almost coming to the end of our conversation, and I think it's been quite engaging, very informative, having a lot to the public to consume, and we really wish that we would be having such conversation, maybe at least on a monthly basis. It will really help, and through your support as CEDGG, we will be able to bring this program to you every month. Maybe as we wind up, what would be your final words, Evans, based on this conversation, and also your dream as the Center for Enhancing Democracy and Good Governance when it comes to ensuring that there's equity in water distribution, or rather access to clean and safe water among the people of Baringo?
I think first I really want to appreciate this conversation, because today we have demonstrated how we can partner to resolve this problem. I think the water problem is not a problem of the department.
Yeah.
Neither is it a problem of the civil society or the community. It's our problem, all of us.
Yeah.
So what we are looking forward to is more partnerships.
Yeah.
And specifically our institution, what we are interested in is that when people go to public participation or budget deliberations, they make informed decisions, and government becomes accountable even during implementation of the same budget.
Yeah.
We also want to see more people involved in budget implementation stage. I think one of the problems we are facing currently is that there is a lot of there is rigorous engagement of citizens during budget formulation. Mm-hmm. But during budget implementation, things go dark. We only see it becomes the business of the contractor, the water engineers, and some officials from government. I know the county has put in place some structures like the project implementation management committees. Yeah. I think what we want to see is more, these committees are empowered, and we have more people involved in budget implementation. I think we have scored so well in terms of budget allocations, despite the challenges we have talked about today. So we want to see more people involved in budget implementation and evaluation. At the same time, we want to see empowered citizens, so that I think what we are saying is that as an institution, we shall ensure that this information is out there. Yeah. We have budget champions, we have civil society, we have partnership with media, other organizations, international budget partnerships. We want to have capacities, to develop capacities of people to make better budget decisions. To the department, what we are asking is be open. Let this information be out there. Yeah. I think there's a lot to learn from today's session, that there's a lot we didn't know. True. That is happening within the department that could help us make better budget decisions. So on our part, and I think very specifically what we are going to we are working on already is that we will partner with the department, and we hope it will be successful to develop a cost reference for water projects. On the issue of the policy, I know there are partners who are also in the same sector. We reach out through the CSO network to see which organizations can help us. But of course, with our expertise, we are going to offer our expertise. These lessons we have accumulated over time should find way into that policy.
Well, I think that's a lengthy and a very loaded parting shot from you, Evans. Maybe to you, Engineer Noah, what would be your parting shot with regards to this conversation, and what would you be telling the people of Baringo regarding to access to water?
First of all, I want to request partners in water development within Baringo County to look into the issue of capacity building of already developed water projects, so that we can be able to enhance sustainability of during operation phase, so that we do not develop projects, operate, and then they die. So that even if we come back in another 5 years, we will just be saying this project has been proceeding. What if there are minor issues to be done? It's able to support itself. Two, I want to also encourage the partners that during the development of the water policy, we will be able to contact all of them as stakeholders, and all of them to participate, because the document which will come out will not only be for the department, but for all of us, even the partners who will be working within Baringo County. For the viewers and the whole community, I want to encourage them that the water issues, our future on water is bright because of what we have said. I also want to request them to be kind and be able to share the resources. Once if they have a successful project, be ready to share with those who are lacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a very wide and loaded conversation, and from us as Baringo News, it is always our objective to ensure that we give you the information that matters and also engage you in the conversation so that you can get to engage the leaders here, the stakeholders, and those people who are partnering with us to ensure that this information reaches you. And from us, we are very grateful to the Center for Enhancing Democracy for ensuring that we have this conversation, and also in their partnership with the International Budget Partnership, IBP. So from us, we are grateful to you, Evans, and to you, Noah, for heeding to this call and ensuring that we engage the public on this conversation. And to you who you may not have managed to watch this program, or you will be planning to watch later, we urge you that you can engage our partners, the IBP, the CEDGG, and also the county government, to ask the critical questions so that we get to engage these people, with the hope that we will be able to bring to you such programs regularly and to be more and more in-depth so that we can cover issues to do with water within our county. I've been your host, Komen SK. Have a good afternoon.